The Newcomer Entrepreneurship Hub was basically designed to help newcomers transition into entrepreneurship. So the program includes training, it includes coaching and mentoring, it includes wraparound services, and most of all, it includes exposure to lots of role models and successful immigrant entrepreneurs.
The goals of the Newcomer Entrepreneurship Hub are to provide newcomers with the knowledge, skills, and tools that they need in order to launch businesses, and this is as a means to economic and social inclusion. Additionally, it's to address and mitigate any barriers such as language proficiency, skills, social capital, and bias. Another goal is to leverage organizations who have entrepreneurship and business knowledge. We provide entrepreneurship training, and that's one of the unique features of this program, that the trainings are facilitated by industry professionals. And we also have professors from the Ryerson Business School, Ted Rogers School of Management, teaching some of the business workshops as well.
What's different about this program is it's tailored for newcomers by newcomers. So a lot of the participants in the program who work as mentors, coaches, instructors, and so on are themselves newcomers with the lived experience. So they have a much better sense of what the challenges on the ground are for newcomer entrepreneurs. So I think that really distinguishes it. And probably one of the single most important features is the connection with Scatting Court, because Scatting Court has Market 707, which is a low-cost retail operation that actually provides opportunities for participants in the program to test out their products and services if they have a retail orientation. That makes a huge difference.
We did want to mitigate any potential barriers that clients may have in accessing this program. So through the wraparound supports that Scatting Court implements, they are able to access it. And some of the supports that are offered are simultaneous interpretation offered within the training, translation of documents, child minding that is offered on site, and there's also transportation support offered by way of providing TTC tokens. Most of the newcomer entrepreneurship programs require that the clients maintain a specific Canadian language benchmark, which our program does not require. Again, we offer the interpretation and the translation services. In addition to that, even the mentorship component is designed with the clients in mind. And if language proficiency is a concern, we will work with the clients in finding a mentor who does speak their native language and does understand the particulars of the business that he's trying to start. The intended outcomes of the Newcomer Entrepreneurship Hub are also to increase their social capital through networking events as well as mentorship. And what we do is we leverage our partnership with Access Community Capital Fund, who actually delivers workshops on how to access capital. Another important partner in the NEH program is our partnership with the Alexandra Park Neighborhood Learning Center, who conducts language assessments with the participants. And in addition to that, within the program, before every training, at the beginning of the day, they run conversation circles to support the participants and familiarize them with the new concepts and terminology that are going to be taught that day. All of the training that the participants go through in the program, even if they don't pursue self-employment after, they've acquired a lot of transferable skills. This in itself can really support them in accessing the labor market. They have employment skills, they report increased confidence, and these pieces are very important, and that's in addition to the marketing and language and networking skills that they're gaining through the program. One of the challenges that we had faced at the earlier stages of the program was client retention. What that forced us to do was to reevaluate our recruitment process, and what we decided to do was to implement an interview process. And what that interview helped us determine was the suitability of the client for the program based on their vision, their business vision, and whether or not the program could support them with that, as well as their commitment to an intensive program that this is. In addition to that, when we started conducting the interviews, we were able to better understand the specific needs of the clients that were going to be entering the program, which supported us in informing the development of the curriculum. So through implementing this new recruitment and intake and interview process, we were able to retain clients at a much higher rate.
We had, a number of points at which we collected data, largely through surveys. So we collected basic information about the participants, demographic data. 64% of the participants were women, for example, which people might not have expected. We collected satisfaction data. So we asked people how they found the various components of the program. Each workshop was evaluated, and then overall, what was their level of satisfaction with the program? And it was, I think, about 86%, so very high level of satisfaction.
After every workshop, every training session, the participants are provided with a workshop evaluation form where they can rate the instructor, the content, the effectiveness, and they can also include their commentary on what they liked about the workshop and what they didn't. They're also able to let us know on these evaluation forms if they felt that anything was missing from the program. In addition to these evaluations, we also have informal meetings with the participants to understand the effectiveness of the program, and then through these conversations and through these surveys, we are better able to understand what really needs to be implemented and how to make the program more efficient. We do actually implement a pre-training and post-training survey where we can evaluate how much their skills in entrepreneurship have improved, to measure their increase in social capital. We can count how many clients were actually matched with mentors, as well as how many have attended the networking events. In regards to the facilitating access to financial resources, we measure that based on how many attended the workshops that Access Community Capital delivers on how to access capital for your business. And finally, in regards to testing, we count out the clients who access those market testing opportunities.
We also surveyed and interviewed the mentors and the people who were involved in the program to get their feedback on what could be done better. And we did qualitative case studies. So we wrote up stories about the individual entrepreneurs, their experiences. We tracked the results of the companies to the extent that we could. One of the challenges with this kind of evaluation is often people are out the door after the program and it's hard to keep them engaged, but we use social media and various other mechanisms to stay in touch with people. The way in which we measure the success of the startups is pretty rudimentary. So, do they have a business? Is the business still in operation? What are their sales? How many employees do they have? What's their growth trajectory? Are they still in business? And if they're still in business, even if they have an employee of one, from our perspective, that's a contribution. We've also tracked some of the people who didn't end up starting their own business to see where they ended up. And as I said, many are very satisfied with the program, even though they didn't start businesses, because it helped them get jobs. The Newcomer Entrepreneurship Hub was launched in 2018. We ran 3 sessions, 100 people signed up, almost 60 completed the program, and the result was 32 successful businesses. The businesses that have been formed and launched range from the lowest of the low tech to the highest of the high tech. So people who are running food preparation and catering services, people who are importing clothing, to people who are importing medical instruments or developing software applications. It really covers the full range.
I came from Peru and I came in June 2018. Back home, I have an import of laboratory equipment business, and I supplied equipment to research laboratories to universities. There are many challenges when you first come to a different country. It's a different culture here. Also the language, because English is not my native language. They gave me the support that I needed with the weekly sessions. I know how to do business in Canada, and they also offer the language translation. Sometimes some accounting terms were hard for me, so somebody could translate them to me. No? That was very helpful, and I got to know the community. I gained more confidence, and after the program I was able to move my business idea to a company. No? I already incorporated a company. The name is In Science. It's a startup. We are building a platform that supports researchers and stakeholders to find funding, collaboration, and resources for their research and development project worldwide.
If you look at the opportunities in smaller communities, they're massive because so many small businesses, whether we're talking about plumbing parts or farmers or restaurants, don't have succession plans because their kids are leaving. So family businesses are closing down because there's no one to take them over. Massive opportunity to get newcomers to consider those businesses in smaller communities. The advantage of Toronto is there's lots of space to do lots of things. The disadvantage of Toronto is it's very fragmented and it's hard to figure out where you go from who's doing what and where you go from one place to another. Smaller communities, much more integrated. It's much easier to get everyone around a table and talk, but often because of that integration and that coordination, it's also harder to drive change. The challenges that immigrant entrepreneurs face in small communities are not dissimilar to the challenges that Canadian-born entrepreneurs face in small communities. They're just amplified. In smaller communities, you often don't have the same resources, and certainly if you're looking, in Toronto, 1 out of every 2 people was born outside of the country. So you want immigrants who are successful, who can serve as mentors, coaches, teachers. Half the population is at your disposal. If you go to a smaller place, it's a lot more difficult to find the mentors, the coaches, and so on. We are looking at how we can leverage technology to help with that, because while a face-to-face meeting with a mentor is invaluable, in the absence of that, there's Skype, there's telephone, there's other ways of communicating. The model it's not that complicated, and I do think it could be replicated, but we have to make sure it doesn't become yet another thing that we offer to immigrants with no prospects of success. So one of the key things has got to be there has to be somewhere for them to go. They complete the program, they start the business, then how are we going to make sure that those businesses that they're starting have support to get to the next level? There's lots of evidence that people who don't perform well in traditional classroom environments thrive in entrepreneurial environments. So again, thinking of this not just as a program to create businesses, but also as a program to develop skills, I think has massive application. People with disabilities particularly, often for similar reasons, often they're excluded from traditional jobs. Creating their own jobs gives them more flexibility and so on. We know that we're working with a group in Oshawa that's targeting older women. Often you get women who have raised their families and are at a certain point where they're maybe semi-retired from their career, or they're looking at re-entering the workforce, and entrepreneurial opportunities may be exactly what they needed. I think with Indigenous people, very similar issues, often not as successful in very structured environments, but thrive in entrepreneurial and self-employment contexts, and especially where there's social purpose and community development, as opposed to the kind of traditional Western model of what an entrepreneur is. I think that the most important thing for us is to really get people to understand that for many, entrepreneurship is not punishment, it's a choice. It's a good choice for many people, not just because it can allow them to create a business that can be successful and create jobs and so on, but it's a good way to teach people a variety of skills in a very engaging, experiential environment. And I think those two things really need to be well understood, and I think there's huge potential to transform how we think about entrepreneurship for immigrants and tap into that potential.